For these little ones, you're doing for me. That's what Jesus said. If we want to give Jesus a Christmas present, let's get in early. Here's the chance. There's the envelopes. I'll give those out at the end. So that'll be great. But I said to Caroline when I got out of the car, we've been up here now over 4 years. And I said, there's much of what we do you don't see. The seed that's been sown, we don't know when that will bring a harvest or to whom. But we've sown so much seed. We've touched many lives. We've helped individuals in different situations. We've helped people who've lost their homes. We've helped people who've been going through troubles and trials. But I said, do you know what? I said, if all we had to show for the years we've been here is what's happened in Romania. Because the week we met for the first time, the mum of that family died. And straight away we said, we must help this family. And I've still got the first checkbook. We're still using it because we don't write that many checks. But the checkbook, the first check, is for the Antonescu family in Romania. That was the first check we ever wrote out of the book for this work. And immediately we said, it's not just about doing things for people who can thank us. It's doing things for people who can't. But I hope you get the same sense of joy that I get from seeing those images and remembering all that we've done so far and what we hope to do for them in the future. Because they're growing up. We were saying earlier on about how the kids grow up. I said, we were already open and running before Molly was born, and now she's off to school, and that's the same with so many of the kids. They're all growing up, and life is moving on, folks. The time is ticking by. Right, I want to share a thought with you. And it's not an original thought. A friend of mine, some of you know Pastor Emmanuel up at Wolverhampton. Wonderful man of God, really great inspiration and an amazing character. He's really on fire and there's nothing will hold him back. But he put this question up, he just put up the question, do you get tired of being strong? Do you get tired of being strong? Because in life, we have to be strong. People depend on us, situations, and we feel a sense of responsibility, and that's a good thing, that we take our responsibility seriously. Sometimes there's just no one else there unless we step in and do something, and we need to be strong. But often in life, it can feel as if it's an uphill struggle. Have you ever heard that term? It feels like an uphill struggle. You feel like as if it's getting to the point where it's too much. Here's another little phrase you hear sometimes. Got the world on your shoulders. I don't know if anyone else has been there. I've been there, when you just feel like everything seems to be coming at once. And it's not an unusual thing. Sometimes we feel, I don't know, why is it all happening to me? Well, the good news is, folks, it's all happening to everybody. I know that might not help much, but it's the truth. We all have bad days. And sometimes we get 2 in a row. And sometimes we get 7 and we have a bad week. And sometimes we seem to get 4 weeks and get a bad month. And sometimes people can't wait for the end of December to get into a new year and hope it's better. The amazing thing is, the passage of time doesn't make things better. What makes things better is the decisions we make in the time that we have. If you do nothing, everything stays as it is. But when you do something, things may change. But it's what do you do? What do you do when you feel that the world is on your shoulders? One day, it's so much. And then the next day, it's too much. You just think to yourself, I've definitely taken on too much. What's the line? Bitten off more than you can chew. And we are creatures that do that. And sometimes the things we've taken on, we have no choice. It's not a case that we're looking for trouble. Trouble has found us. It's not that we're going out of our way to make life busy. Life just gets busy. Every time you make a friendship, then that friendship, that relationship can cost you time and will. If you're in a relationship, if you have a partner or a husband or a wife, if you have children, whatever it is, it will always bring with it those senses of responsibility that you have to step up to. But there are still those days, Even when you think, but I can't put any of it down, but I've definitely got too many balls in the air. It's just too much. We reach that moment when we put our head in our hands and we think, something has got to change. Something's got to give. Can't keep going like this. But the Bible tells us everyone who calls help God gets help. And sometimes, I don't know if it's only me, I get a feeling it's not. It takes that moment when we can't go another step for us to realize that we need help. It's when we come to the end of our rope that suddenly we find there's another rope. We try to take things as far as we can, but then the moment comes when we know we can't go another step. This is the advice that Peter gives in the Bible. Cast all your cares on him. Speaking of Jesus. Why? Because he cares for you. You know, it's no use just turning around and just picking somebody out of a crowd and deciding, well, they can help me. Because there's no guarantee they're going to. Sometimes there's no guarantee that even someone you're related to is going to. Sometimes you turn to those nearest you and you find they're too busy for you. I heard of someone I know very well who got into some difficulties just recently and thought, I'll phone the one friend I've got. I'll phone the one friend, and he was busy. And sometimes that's the way it is, folks, because everyone's got their life. Everyone's got their burdens. Everyone's got their commitments. So there's those days when you can call a friend. There's those days when you can call your nearest and your dearest, and they're not going to be there, not because they don't care, but because in their life they've had to go another road that day. They just cannot be there. But the promise of the scriptures, according to Peter, is cast all your cares on him. Why? Because he cares. Because he cares. Joel says in the Bible, let the weak say I'm strong. And then Paul wrote, when I am weak, then I am strong. That seems a bit crazy. Seems a bit mixed up, doesn't it? You know, you've got Joel saying, you're feeling weak? Say you're strong. But that would be a lie. That wouldn't be the truth. I'm weak. I can't say I'm strong when I'm weak. What's it all about? And why is it Paul could say, when I am weak, then I am strong? This is from the Message. And this is how it puts it. God doesn't come and go. God lasts. He's creator of all you can see or imagine. He doesn't get tired. He doesn't get tired. We do. He doesn't. It goes on in this passage, and if I quote it from out of the Message, then you'll know where we are. And it says, even the young men grow weary and fall. But they that wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings as eagles. They will run and not be weary. They will walk and not faint. You see, in our strength, there's a limit. There's a line. Some of us may be able to go further than others. Do you know what I find? Some days I can go further than others. Some days I can do pretty good. I can go a fair way before I find that it's too much. Other days it's too much when I wake up. Because we are not constant. My emotional state, my physical strength, my mental fortitude are not constant. There's days when I'm up there and ready to take on the world, and there's days when I ain't. But he is. He is constant. He doesn't care for me on certain days, he cares for me every day. And he don't just care for me, he cares for you. He doesn't just care for me and you, he cares for everyone. God so loved the world that he gave. That's where his love is. This is what God said to Paul. My grace is enough. It's all you need. My strength comes into its own in your weakness. See, that's why Paul could say what he did, because he'd had this conversation with God. God said to him, I know you're having a tough time, but you've got what you need, the gift of grace. My grace is enough. And he says, and when you get weak, my strength comes in. When you get weak, and when we begin to see that at that moment when we feel that it's too much, that if we will just allow, then God's strength comes in. He gives us the strength for the day. Song we used to sing, one day at a time, yes. Sweet Jesus. You like that one, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking from you. One day. And that's how God's strength works. It's no use saying, I don't think I got enough strength for a fortnight. You don't need it for a fortnight, you need it for today. But then his mercies are new every morning. And his grace is sufficient. So he says to him, when you're weak, that's when my strength comes in. My grace is enough. And here's Paul's response. I know it's lengthy, but it really did speak to me. It says, once I heard that, when Paul heard that, when he realized that truth, he said, I quit focusing on the handicap and began appreciating the gift. It was a case of Christ's strength moving in on my weakness. Now I take limitations in my stride and with good cheer. These limitations that cut me down to size, abuse, accidents, opposition, bad breaks, I just let Christ take over. And so the weaker I get, the stronger I become. What a crazy world. Up is down, in is out, black is white. If there's one thing I've learned about the world that God resides in, is totally back to front to the world we live in. You know that little verse in the Bible where Paul said, we see in a glass darkly? He was referring to a mirror. He was referring to looking into a looking glass, a mirror. If there's one thing you notice about a mirror, is everything in the mirror looks exactly the same, but it's the other way around. Everything's back to front in a mirror. If you put a word up in a mirror, it writes it backwards. So it's all there, but it's back to front. And that's how it feels sometimes with the kingdom of God. It's all there, but it's back to front. Because he says, so the weaker I get, the stronger I become. So here's my tip for today. Here's my thought for the week. Tired? Trust before you try. Trust before you try. Before you give it all you've got, put your trust. The Bible says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him. He'll direct your paths. If you trust first, then try, I'm convinced that we'll get better results than when we try our hardest and then trust when we can't do no more. Trust, then try. So if you get tired this week, if life just gets a bit too much, just think, Lord, I'm trusting you. According to your word, when I'm weak, then I'm strong. I need you to give me the strength. And I believe that He will do for us what we need according to His word. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So whatever the week brings, go for it with God. Don't try it on your own. And if you start to tire, just work on trusting and then start trying, because He has the answer.